Okay, we have already some people joining. Hello, everyone. We are waiting for people to join until we start, a few minutes before we start, and then we can kick off the webinar. Okay, still a few seconds. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to our speakers, of course. And I think we can go ahead and get started, and other people will surely join later. So, hello everyone, welcome to our webinar. My name is Samuele Lisi. I'm really excited to represent the Réseau Biotech today and be your host. Today we dive into the world of marketing, and we want to show you how your scientific expertise is an asset to succeed into this world. To do that, we have two amazing speakers, Ariane and Donard, who got her PhD from the University of Po, working on mass spectrometry, and is now product marketing manager at New Instrument Ltd, at mass spectrometry instrument provider. Yeah. And Joachim Eeckhout, who started in science and rapidly moved to become a successful entrepreneur. He launched Labiotech in 2014, and now the science marketer. And in both these occasions, he learned a lot about marketing and entrepreneurship. And of course, thanks to both for being our guests today. Before we start, yeah, a quick reminder, your micro is closed now, but you are encouraged to ask questions in the Q&A just after we touch base on topics. You can also ask into the Q&A section to speak, or just raise your hand, and you will have the opportunity to directly speak with our speakers and ask them the questions that you have. And I really encourage you to do so, because it's a great opportunity to learn more about the private sector and their companies and their daily duties. So thanks again to be here, and yeah, we can. You can, of course, be pleased to introduce a little bit your career path and to start presenting a little bit yourself. I don't know, Ariane, you want to start, maybe?
Sure, no problem. So, yeah, I'm Ariane Donard. Let's say I have started my scientific career as by doing a PhD at the University of Po, funded by the French Nuclear Agency, CEA. And it was all really exciting, and I was lucky enough to be able to work on laser ablation coupling with ICP-MS. And at the end of my PhD, got really lucky again that timing-wise, it was perfect, because I found out that the competitor company of the ICP-MS I was using during my PhD, and on which I really did a lot of research, they were looking for an application scientist to represent that kind of instrument, so high resolution ICP-MS. So I applied and I got the job. So moved to finish my PhD on a Friday and moved to the UK on the weekend and started on Monday. So wow. That was not much time to relax in between, but a great opportunity. And yeah, I started in the company by being an application scientist, which was really interesting because it was basically I was in charge of developing methodology on the instrument, making sure that supporting our customer And then also I was really involved in the sales part, which was doing demonstration for potential customer or prospects, and supporting sales by creating content for them to be able to share the interest of our instruments, the interesting part. And basically after a while, I saw a gap in a company, in the sense that we were a company that were relying mostly on word of mouth. We were really successful just by having customers talking to each other, which was really great. But then we joined the Labiotech group, and then we were hoping to grow a bit more, to be able to fund new instrumentation. So we wanted to grow basically, and yeah, I saw there was not really a structure in the marketing that we were doing. So I kind of went into that and say, oh, could I join and maybe start do something on marketing? And that's how I started. And basically after a while we put really a structure, and I was able to hire people, marketing specialists in the team. So now I'm running the marketing team. And recently I also joined the product manager. So now I'm managing the product manager as well, which is also really in relation with marketing. So yeah, that's how I ended up where I am today.
A lot of different roles and experience, and yeah, that sounds great. Joachim, if you want to also introduce yourself for our audience.
Sure. So hi everyone. My scientific background is in biotech engineering. So I have a degree from biotech. So maybe some of you know, it's in France, in Paris. And I completed it with a management degree. So I knew quite early that I wanted to go out of science and mix basically science and business. And basically I did these two masters at the same time. On one side, more like pure biotech, and one pure management. And at the same time, very early, I started this project of creating a blog at the beginning for biotech in France. And this became later on Labiotech.eu, which is a media which is covering the biotech industry originally in Europe. Now globally, we expanded since a few years to a global coverage of the biotech. And it's quite big now. Like, we are read by over 200,000 people every month, so it's quite massive. In the biotech media sphere, I think we are the top 5 maybe website for this topic worldwide. And yeah, like, I basically learned a lot about marketing through the media side, which is a bit like sideways from pure marketing, but I had to do everything that a marketer is doing to grow the company, to grow the media, to grow the audience, etc. And I'm still with Labiotech. I'm editorial director, so I still manage the content of the website. You can read online. But on the side, I was thinking about launching something new, and as I said, like, I have a lot of like hands-on marketing experience, and I just wanted to share it. And the only thing I know how to do is to write about the stuff I know. So I just decided to start again a newsletter. So it's called The Science Marketer. You can find it at thesciencemarketer.com. You can subscribe for free. It's a weekly newsletter, and basically every week I write something I know about marketing in science. So it can be really different topics. And I was happy to join this call, because I think it's really also the goal of sharing knowledge. So yeah, it's really what I like to do.
Yeah, that is great, and honest recommendation. I really enjoy reading the weekly newsletter of the Science Marketers. I'm learning also to promote, a little bit myself. So it's a great way to raise your skills if you are interested by this topic, but also if you want, to convince someone, maybe your thesis director to accept your ideas. You can find some interesting insights. Yeah, thanks for this introduction. And I noticed that Victor joined us. Victor is also a member from the Labiotech, and so thanks for joining.
Hi guys, sorry for being late. A meeting that was extended.
Yeah, cool. So I noticed that we already have one question. It's about the soft skills, which is a topic that I was keeping for later. But since we have already this question, maybe Ezra, if you want to join us and elaborate a little bit on your question, you are free to come. I can let you join. Let me know. Would you prefer to join or to just we read your question and we try to reply as best as we can? I'll read the question and then let's see. And so the question is basically, can you give us the soft skills that you find useful or required in marketing? And as I said, I'm currently at work. That's okay. We are also going to so the question is really about it's also a question that I was having for you, since I know that both of you managed people in the past, or maybe you hired people, you hired someone in your experience, and yeah, it would be really great if you can elaborate a little bit on the soft skills and personal skills that are really necessary from your point of view.
Ariane, do you want to start or should I start?
Okay, but I'll start, but not me every time. Next
Okay.
time. But no, really quickly, I think, obviously, especially if you have done a PhD before, the organization skills for me is crucial, because I feel like marketing, I mean, depends if you go into a really big company where you have a lot of different marketing people that have a really specific role. I think it's a lot of different tasks, and a lot of my colleagues always say plate spinning, and that's really exactly what it is. You just have to make sure that everything stay up in the air and nothing fall down. So it's organization that's really important. Communication for me, it's crucial. If I see that it's if I hire somebody, I will definitely see if there's people that are happy to talk to to other people, and they are willing to ask, first of all, for help if they don't have the marketing degree, let's say, but they should really not be shy to ask for help. And then it's working as a team, because you're in the middle of basically at marketing, in the middle of everybody, of sales, of product development, of product managers. So it's being able to communicate. So yeah, I took two. I leave some of you for you.
But yeah, first I really agree with what you said. Organization, communication, it's really the basis. One I think is, for me, even maybe more important, especially at the start, is being a quick learner and being able to learn on your own. Because marketing, like, you cannot really you can do a school of marketing, but what you will learn will be obsolete the next day. So you constantly need to kind of refresh what you know. You need to experiment yourself a lot. You cannot just wait that someone just tell you what to do in marketing. It's you constantly have to figure out. It's very creative, actually, and that's also why I like this job, because it's very creative. You have to come up with your own ideas. You have to research when you're stuck. You have to talk to other people to come up with ideas. So that's I think really important. Yeah, especially when you come also from science, like you cannot. You cannot just wait until the science come to you. You have to also experiment and make the science on your own. And with marketing, it's the same thing. Like, you have to constantly come up with a solution. And that's why scientists are also making good marketers, because they know this process. And especially in a PhD, I didn't do a PhD, but in a PhD, you have to come up with your own experiment, your own hypothesis, and it's the same in marketing. So yeah, for me, that's really important.
Yeah, I agree with that indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Education is
you asked Samuele, you asked also about hiring. So I have hired also a bunch of people over the years, and the first thing is, I mean, that's my personal take, so I cannot say it will be the same for other people, but the school, the PhD topic, all of this stuff, I don't care. Like, I really don't care. I don't even look at the education section. And what I focus on is, like, why would I care? It's marketing. So the school you have done is not relevant. The science you have done is not relevant, especially in digital marketing, where it's a broad application. In product marketing, it's something else. But yeah, I don't really care. What I care about is what I just said, like seeing that the person is really motivated to learn, to do stuff on their own, to be autonomous. These kind of things, like the experience and the soft skills. I think that's really important.
Maybe just to add as well, this being able to summarize and to convey a message in a simple way. I think that's what I really enjoy about that, being at the board, like at the bridge between the science and the marketing. It's able to take the talk to the scientist with a really high complex message, and to be able to share it and simplify it and make it sounds a bit different. And especially when you get to the management position, when you have to talk to the CEO or the people that are not really scientists, but they are the one that making the high decision. And then so that's how you have to talk to the boss world, and it's really interesting. That's what I really enjoy as well.
Yeah, thanks for sharing also this perspective, and also I think both your perspective highlighted the fact that personal skills are important in marketing. The schools might be important, or the scientific experience might be like something, but it being hired as marketing as a marketer, is also depend on the people you have in front of you. And like a marketer, you have to know your audience when you apply for a company, for a job. So there will be some hiring managers where the structure and the school might be more relevant, and there might be people that are, let's say, this way more open-minded and accepting application also from people without previous experience, but with who shows the right mindset. So yeah, thanks for sharing these insights. I have another question, but and I will take this very, very soon, but since we were speaking about this, the pathway between science and coming across to marketing, and we spoke about the benefit of being a scientist, or let's say having a scientific mindset. I'm wondering if you have seen in the past, some limits on yourself or on other scientists to turn to be a marketer, and how you overcame this, let's say, being too scientific at the beginning and maybe then evolving, Ariane, if you want to go. No, Joachim,
I've been pointing because that's a tricky one.
I mean, so it was two questions, so let me start with the last one. So being two scientists, you said, was not really my problem, right? I mean, that's maybe something more actually for Ariane, like coming from a PhD. For me, I was like coming from master degree, and I was my own boss anyway. So I think these kind of questions don't totally apply. What was the question before?
Maybe it could apply because you work with scientists, with scientific CEO or scientific marketers, and you can feel they are a bit skeptics, or they see things in a different way, which now that you are into marketing since 2014, you see things in a different way.
Yes, totally. Yeah, at the beginning, I think it's more like, it's maybe not coming from the scientific background or not, was really like my age maybe, because I was, still a student. interviewing CEOs with public companies and stuff like this. So like the credibility was a bit hard to accept first for myself and to make them accept as well. Fortunately, you have a lot of really open-minded people, so that was great to do and to learn. But yeah, I think you should not think too much about those topics. Like you have your own strengths, whatever you have done before. You use this experience, repackage it in what you have to do now. You know, if as you said, like you have to know your audience, you have to know who you're talking to. So adapt a bit your language if necessary. I think that's also a great skill in marketing, being able to communicate on different levels depending on who you're talking to. That's really important. So yeah, and that's also how I did it. Like if I need to have more technical discussions, if I can handle it, I will. If I cannot, I will also be you know, straightforward and say, okay, look, I need explanation. I think that's also important.
That's important.
Yeah.
There to ask, you know.
And even as a scientist, like you get specialized, so you cannot know everything. And if you do a PhD in, I don't know, like gene therapy, and then you move up to a company which is doing something completely different, your background will not necessarily be fully usable. And you know, like you have to accept this and learn new stuff, ask questions, and I think that's the best way.
I think to add on this, in the term of maybe coming from a business, I think it's not just about the marketing, but mostly like more about jumping from academia to industry, and it's really a shift. Well, not a shift of mind, but you have to understand that it's maybe a different priority, and you have to really understand what are your goals and how you're going to be measured against, what you're going to be measured against, and what is important for your role. That might not be exactly you as a PhD or in science. You might want to push every single experiment to the further to make sure that you have gone into every single make sure that it's as everything is done as fast as far as you can, and all about the small details. And then maybe your role in the industry is also, I mean, for me, it's really to be able to make sure that we deliver an instrument that will allow our customer to do that. But as in my role is, it might be to maybe put my head a bit above and try to understand what are the priorities and juggle really, and not going, trying to go to the smallest details. I think that's really the shift of what I found.
Yeah, so because in the scientific PhD, of course, you want to dig down deeper into maybe any paper about your field, and you're really passionate about this, and you open drawer and drawer and after drawer.
Well, I think even in academia, if you stay and progress in academia, after a while, I understand that a lot of time it's going after fundings, writing grants and everything, and that might not be exactly the same like you do as a PhD, where it's you have time to do the science deeply, and then you're confronted with real life and we get money for the science. But so it's also, I mean, it's not like if you stay in academia, it's perfect and it's all about science anyway. It's also important to look at this.
Yeah, totally. So I want to take the question of Sophia, which is specific for Ariane, and it's a lot of questions. So maybe I would like Sophia to join us if she's okay with that. Because it would be better. She asked about your experience in as an application scientist. Sophia, if you're still with us, can I encourage you to ask the questions directly? Are you okay with that? No, I need to promote you, but I will do that. So now you should be able to open your micro and also switch on your camera if you want, and and just ask your question directly to Ariane. Is it working? We should hear you now.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't hear her, but maybe you can. No. So if you are okay, I can read the first question at least, and then if you can join now, you will continue. So the question for Ariane was about your experience as an application scientist, and she said if there are sites that you missed when you start about research, when you start about to be an application scientist, like she precisely asked what are the sides of research you missed when starting as an application scientist.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a question that I asked myself, and I tried to spoke at the time I spoke to other application scientists to see what really about the role, because obviously when you come from academia, it's a bit scary to do, well, so it's a different area, but I was scared that I was going to miss going, you know, as I was saying, like going every detail and spending a lot of time on trying to do a lot of application, but actually I traded that to be specialist in one single application to actually work with so many different customers and users around the world, doing lots of different applications, a lot of different samples. And I was not pushing the research as much as I would have done if I were in that position, but supporting them to develop the method. I got to work with a lot of really, really interesting people. And that's the part that I really enjoy. So I'm still going to conferences, still talking about science, by supporting those customers really. And that's why it's really exciting. And that's why I really like the job still, absolutely. So I haven't lost the touch, you know, with science, but I'm not doing it myself. Yeah, just helping them to do the science, which is really interesting.
Yeah, and as you said, maybe in any role, even if you stay, you know, as a project manager in research and development, you will leave a little bit the bench side to move more to administrative.
Absolutely, yeah. But for me, I found it really interesting, this part as well. So I moved more to the marketing role, which sounds, maybe for some people it sounds boring, but I love, you know, the data, having the database with all our customer or prospects, making sure that, you know, doing a lot of statistics on it. That's a different way of doing science, but it's still, I found it really interesting. So you definitely still apply some science into, and that's why I think it's really interesting to do marketing this way, to not just think, oh, I think it's a good idea, but to have data to back it up. Like, how is our campaign performing? Is it worth doing it? What's the return on investment? And that's math behind it, so it's still a lot of science. So yeah,
she's actually asking, I think you replied, and it's a question that also applied to Joachim in my opinion, that what are the skills that you didn't expect, you know, to improve the most into these roles now, and actually you improved compared to what you have done before diving into entrepreneurship or marketing. And I think Ariane already replied a bit. If you want to add something, or yeah.
No, I leave it to Joachim.
Yeah, I don't know. I was not really expecting anything, to be honest, at the beginning.
Okay.
So everything was new, I guess. That's part of the answer. Like, be ready for the unexpected and be okay with it, because that's part of marketing. That's part of many jobs, I think, but especially in marketing, you, as I said earlier, like, you need to constantly learn new things. So yeah, I won't, you know, tell you, okay, you have to expect this and this, because it's always changing.
Sure. So, and also from Sophia, there is like, if there are some, you know, misconception that you had before joining private companies or working with private companies, if I speak to Joachim, because you founded your own company, so I don't know what kind of misconception you have about yourself, you know. Yeah.
I also work with bigger companies as clients,
Exactly,
so that's
yeah,
maybe
yes.
something misconceptions. Yeah, I don't know, like I think something that you rapidly see in bigger companies and sometimes even mid-sized companies is that things are getting a bit slow. With as the organization get bigger and bigger, you know, like you feel like you have more bureaucracy, you have more processes, etc. And sometimes when you're in marketing, you want to go fast, but maybe your organization won't allow you. And I see a lot of marketers who are, I don't know, maybe a bit bored with, you know, with this kind of thing because they want to do more, they want to be more proactive, but then if you have to validate every single sentence everywhere, then it's getting a bit slow. So maybe like choosing the organization you work with early on is maybe a good idea. Like choose something that reflects how you want to work. If you want something more compartmented with more hierarchy, then go with bigger company. But if you want to be free and do stuff and take initiatives, smaller companies could be more fun.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, definitely. But I think for me, it really comes with both. So I started as a really small company, and then we joined a big group. But I really see a lot of advantage as well. So yeah, there is a lot more of bureaucracy and like maybe some, you know, you have to do more checkup and like you were saying. But it also comes with, I mean, at least in my company, we have a lot of support from other company as well. So in my case, I was really lucky that I was supported by, you know, a marketing manager from another, like a sister company, and they've been helping us to set up the marketing department so much. And having the support from when bigger groups, I think you can have more support as well, which for me it's really valuable, especially when you move into a role where you don't really know what's the, you know, what is the structure at the beginning. And yeah, that's so useful. So there is some pros and some cons, and yeah, having bigger organization and smaller as well.
So, okay, that sounds great. Hope we replied to Sophia's questions, and so it's another question from the audience that I also listed, and we already discussed about this point with Ariane in the preparation of the webinar. It's about the actual projects and, let's say, the day-to-day activities of marketers today. And I think it's very interesting to have both of you because, Ariane, you are more in product oriented marketing, let's say, where you, Joachim, now are doing digital media and also consulting, so very different type of marketing, I feel. And yeah, you know, marketing is one big word, but there are many things inside this box. So, Ariane, if you want to start with your experience.
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm, as I said, I'm managing the product managers and the marketing department. So I'm really juggling between the two departments and basically making sure that sales and management, we are aligned with those two departments and making sure that we are aligned with the company goals and strategy. So I'm working with both departments and yeah, being the bridge between the other really. So what I do, so a lot of my job is catching up with my colleagues and see what they're doing. But basically in product, with a product manager, what we're trying to do is to make sure that everything is following the strategy that we designed. But that's why I wanted to say about marketing is not for me and for everybody. Marketing is not just about the advertisement part. It's really, especially when we talk about products, it comes at every step of the product life, and that's why I found it really interesting. But so marketing would be interesting for working with a product manager as a start of when we think about the product, what we're going to do. It's really about understanding doing some market research, some customer voice of customer to understand what are our buyers persona. So the people that are gonna, like our audience, people are gonna buy your product, to understand what their pain points, what's the problem that they have every day, where we can come with our product and resolve that. And so that's a really interesting part about creating the product, understanding what we're gonna do it. And then it's the development part to make sure that we are responding to this problem that we understood. And that's, yeah, so that's the part of product manager, also have to make sure that we're going in the right direction. And then when we finally have a product, is helping to launch the product to the market and make sure that we create an interesting marketing message. And this is really easy when you've done the first part really well, but that's why it's important to the first part well, so you can, you have really good things to say about the product. So that's really what marketing is, what I do with the team on a daily basis. So depending on what stage of the product we're looking at either at the first part, market research, or the development part, or supporting sales and making sure that the product manager can produce content. So we can do some marketing activities to promote the products. So that's one side. And then the other side is with the marketing department. We are on day-to-day, really. At the minute, we are planning many conferences. That's a big part of our job. So that's why I say there's a lot of organization skills right on this. We are working on daily basis to see what we're gonna do on the social media. If we're gonna try, I'm working a lot with customer to do a lot of webinars. So I'm hosting webinars with our customer. So that's a big part of my job as well. And yeah, and then so really day to day is this, and setting up the next like emailing campaign, or working on the next, depending on what we have with the product going on during the year. Planning a launch campaign, anything. So yeah, and then we have the digital part, which is also needs to be planned. So yeah, it's a lot to do, but it's cool. So that's really day to day what we do in my team.
Yeah, so for me, and that's really interesting, because I think product marketing and like what maybe we call more traditional marketing are very two sides of marketing, and you need both, I think. But usually you also do some things that are the same, but you also do very different things from time to time. So on my side, I don't do product marketing, so it will be more general, I think, in the kind of applications I do with marketing. I divide my time in two main activities right now. So I'm still involved as editorial director with the media Labiotech. So this is not marketing, this is like really journalism. So I won't go into details on this one. But then with my second activity, so I'm consulting with companies on mostly content marketing, which means like the basic case scenario I will have is a company who needs to create content for their website, to make their website more active, to create an audience around their product, etc. But they don't know how to do, or they don't have the skills to write the article, to make something engaging, this kind of thing. So basically that's where I come in. And then, every day will be very different. But what I do is a few activities I could do is like working on a content calendar for the coming months, coming weeks, working on writing the content, or working with writers to create the content that is necessary. Sometimes it's very technical content, so I will also try to find the person that is the best suited for this. So you have a lot of editing, a lot of looking at text communication. I also do a bit of copywriting. So this will be, like if you have, for instance, a page with your product, you need to write something on the page that makes people just buy it. So this is also a part of marketing. And yeah, then yeah, there are so many things. I will maybe take 1 hour to list everything, but sometimes I do lead generation campaigns where I would try to collect potential prospects for companies. I do SEO. I do many things like this. Social media, of course, which is I think also a big part of marketing. And that's what's cool. So is that the more you go into marketing, the more you kind of build your toolkit, you build your knowledge, and you really do different things every day. And I think that's quite cool because you're never really bored.
Yeah, totally. And I'm noticing that there are. Yeah, go ahead, Ariane.
Can I ask a question? I was wondering what you view as in marketing with the boom of AI, and obviously because some of the activities that you describe, like we try to use sometimes AI to kind of help us to generate, So I was wondering if that's something that you integrate in your work, or how do you think that this kind of work is going to develop further?
Yeah, so totally. I use AI tools to assist, not to replace. And that's where you see the difference. So basically, like if you try to replace, or if you just give the tool to someone who has no experience, you get crap. Like it's just bullshit. But if it's someone who knows how to use it, it's really like both saving a bit of time and sometimes helping with creativity. I get unstuck more easily now with, like when I feel like, like sometimes you're just, I don't know, it's not the good time to be creative. So you have always a sparring partner to run your ideas through or to come up with new ideas. And then you don't have to take them, right? Like you just put it in ChatGPT, what you want, but you don't have to use it. And especially you don't have to use it as it is. And that's what I recommend. Don't use it as it is. Make it your own. Enrich what you're already doing with those new ideas, new blocks of text, maybe sometimes. But keep your own experience, because then if you start replacing, like the quality drops really fast. And I don't believe, those tools will really replace anyone who is skilled, because if you're already skilled, you always have an advance on people who are just coming in and just using the stuff without thinking. So it's all about quality, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's really valuable with this discussion, because that's why we would need science people to be able to maybe you would less need to be really good at writing potentially, you would need to have the critical mind of reviewing the what's coming out of it and making sure that it's I think that's actually going to help us and really make science people need to be needed for scientific marketing at least, but that can be a good tool.
I can share my process while I was preparing this webinar, because you might have noticed that we posted regularly on LinkedIn, and let's say the first things I used ChatGPT for was to gather insights about you. So basically I asked the ChatGPT, find please what is told online about Joachim and Ariane. And
I'd never done that.
Yeah, and I found some interesting piece of content, that me drafting a bio that served to promote to present people to people who you are, basically. Of course, I modified it because I didn't want to take everything for granted. So I verified it if it was true or not, and then also to include those informations into the posts we wrote, because I basically tried to provide ChatGPT a previous post of the posted by Biotech to promote their webinars, and asked to reproduce something similar for our webinars, and then adapted that. And I think it's quite decent, to save time, to use some wording that I would never use, like unleash or like discover. Sometimes it's a little bit too American, in the sense that it's a little bit off as a tone of voice for science. But if you know your audience, again, I'm really a fan of getting to know your audience very well. You can, edit, modify, and know what to take and what to throw away.
And fact check what the tools are giving you. That's really important. And always, like, as you said, like, don't take it for granted. Like, you always have to fact check what's coming out. Yeah.
I have a question about your vision about the future of the job of marketer with AI. Do you think that the job phase will change, or there are still some improvement of AI tools that will drastically bring something more, make it faster, make it easier, make it more accessible to people who don't really know how to market stuff, that don't have really talent but might increase the competition? I don't know. What is your vision for the future of this specific job, including the AI technology?
Well,
Ariane, you want to start?
Yeah, I just think it's a bit like we said. I think it's going to be becoming more and more important to be able to be critical on what's coming out of this AI tool. It is really useful to generate image, generate all this content. It's a way of, we definitely save time sometimes, but again, it's about, there's always going to be the knowing your audience, knowing who you're talking to. And like for me, I spend my time on ChatGPT or Jim to say tone it down because it's like too much. Oh, amazing!
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously, my audience is scientific, really. Highly experienced science people that don't want to be like, ooh, explore the new no. So it's about knowing that, and this you can't replace. You can't have an AI to understand. Well, you can, because it's slowly you can shape it to talk to the person you want, but I do think that you will always need a critical mind behind it to understand if what's come out is correct and how to use it. Yeah. So
yeah, it's really that the job is getting faster. Like if I ask someone, I don't know, whether I'm working with, to, I don't know, like, come up with maybe writing an email for an email campaign, I won't wait 3 days to get it, because now you can get a draft in 1 second. So you also have an expectation of marketers that they will certainly be faster to give it output. And I think that's not only in marketing, but that's what AI is really changing. Like you have things that are becoming very, faster to do. And it means you can focus on other things, which is great, because you can focus on maybe like thinking a bit more, reflecting a bit more on your clients, your products, all those things that an AI tool cannot really do as well as we are doing. So yeah, this is critical thinking again. It's I don't think, you can replace marketers. You can help marketers to be faster, to get maybe their job done sometimes a bit easily, but you cannot really replace, because at the end, marketing, like being a marketer, it's always a lot of coordination, and that's really the value. Like you coordinate a lot of things together to make kind of a structured promotion, structured, branding around your product. And that's what matters, not really what the small details.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing for any other job with AI that comes. You cannot never replace doctor with an AI, or marketer with an AI, or manager with an AI, but it will for sure help. I have one question. You surely, maybe outside, except AI, I'm sure you are using numeric tools that are plus must-have for the marketer. What would be the number one that you would not be able to get rid of, and that is your life changer? And if you don't have this tool anymore, you would not be the same marketer?
I'm a tool freak, so I use too many tools. I don't.
But on
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I mean,
but the freaks can you be in
okay,
marketing?
maybe one very easy is an email marketing tool. Like you need something to deliver your emails. You cannot do everything manually. So stuff like, I don't know, HubSpot or maybe a MailChimp if you're more into the newsletter direction. Yeah, those kind of tools, I think, yeah, like it's where you have to start for sure. Yeah, so if I have to choose one, is email marketing.
Okay, that's unexpected for me.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I don't really, well, I use like customer management system, but our CRM, which is Salesforce, and then we have Pardot, which is attached to the to do like the emailing and all this campaign, which takes a while to go. You know, when you call, I had no idea about it worked. So now I gained so much knowledge on it that I don't never want to change. But I'm sure there is maybe better ones or other ones. But yeah, right now that's why we're using it. But now I'm stepping down a bit from there, and that's, you know, other people doing it. So I'm not really using really many tools. It's yeah, it's more about discussing with customer with my people from my team.
Okay, thank you for answering.
Okay, that was a long reply to the questions, and I think we expanded on more questions. I think the discussion was really interesting and provide to our audience many more insights about what marketers think about. So must be freak freak about tools, as you said, and many other interesting aspects. I want to go back to the marketing jargon because I noticed that we used a lot of marketing jargon into our replies now. What would be like, you know, the most surprising one? Let's say that, imagine that it was like me at the beginning. I came up out from a lab, lead, cold email, prospect was all like in France we said, you know, charabia, or like I don't know how do we say it in English. But anyway, it was really can be felt like a barrier, and it can be felt like a barrier when you have to, you know, apply for a job and you don't understand basically what the job is for. I don't know if you have, you know, any keywords that you found really you struggled at the beginning with, any topic that you want to highlight when you started?
Joachim, if you wanna.
I don't know. I always find the word copy weird because, you know, like you use the word copy to say text basically on a page, which is stupid. You could just say text, but it's coming from copywriting. So I don't know. I always, with this word, I'm always thinking like, why do I say this? But yeah, no, there are a lot of things you need to learn, like what a CRM is, what I don't know, a CMS is, what all those abbreviations, cold email, those kind of things. Yeah, you just need to get into it. Like what I recommend, if you want to get into marketing seriously, start now. Like start subscribing to newsletter, read some articles, like find something that you know you like. I'm not saying my newsletter, but maybe good stuff.
No, but
I
think it's a nice it's a nice hook to, you know, we prepared a little bit of survey, and we would like to know from our audience if you are okay, you know, you want to join, and if you are okay that we share as a result biotech your contact with Joachim for you to land on his page and subscribe to his newsletter. So if you want to join, I'm going to launch a short survey that should appear on the screen right now. So please vote if you want to join, whoever, and this way he will know, and he can contact you
I can't vote myself. I wanted to say yes, but I'll send you my.
Okay,
I will let you.
I think Joachim will share.
Yeah, but I think that's really, apart from self-promotion, which I don't want to, I don't want to do, but I'm really like seriously like try to find, I don't know, like a website or a newsletter you find easy to understand. Read it. Don't go necessarily into books because I don't know, books are always a bit like books about marketing are always a bit technical in my opinion. So start with like more like casual stuff that you can find online and learn from this. And I think you will save a lot of time. Yeah, later on, and when you have a job interview, it's much easier if you know those stuff. One cool stuff is that you can do the HubSpot training. So you go on the HubSpot website. They have a ton of marketing training, which are really good with video. It's really easy to follow. I think you can have also some kind of official certification you can put on your LinkedIn. So it's a really good place to start, and you learn all the jargon from there. So I think that's something to do.
So for me, I was going to say you should buy books, but maybe
okay, there are good books as well.
No, but that's true. Like I think it may be actually you're right, because it might be not the first thing that I've done, but after I got into it a bit, I got further, and I started to be interested by reading some books. But something that I've done myself, it was on LinkedIn, LinkedIn Learning. Well, I was working in my company. We have this, but if I would not be with my company and I would have to pay privately for it, I think I would do it for if I wanted to change, role and go into the marketing side, because there is a lot of, and again, everything you have to take it with a pinch of salt, but it's explain a lot of the different roles, what are, what people do, what marketing do, how to market a product, how to create a roadmap for your product. So there's a lot of things that everything is not applicable, but you can learn a lot. And I found it really useful for me when I started this role. And then I got lucky that again with my company, they put me on training. So I get to do some training. So that was really good. And as I said, I was supported by being in a bigger group. I had access to, I could ask questions to my colleagues, and my advice is, I think, is a bit what you said, Joachim, before as well, but never pretend that you know stuff. And for me, I always come and say my ideas. And basically now I have my colleague with the marketing specialist, which translated marketing term is perfect. But it's okay. Like what I said is still valid, even if I didn't have the right jargon at the time. But I think it's it's not being afraid, especially if you don't, you come from a different background. People don't expect you to, as long as you have the understanding of what you need to do, it comes with the job, I think. But yeah.
Since you mentioned a book, maybe both of you, or you have already a favorite one? Or I can share that I started with Marketing for Dummies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but actually that's where I would start as well. Like it's a good place to start, because it's where you can learn the jargon quite easily, and it's covering all the stuff more like classical marketing theories. So that's a good place to start.
For me, I read one on the Porter analysis. I thought was quite interesting, but that's more like a strategy and more deeper in product marketing as well. But yeah, no.
And now there are also people that are speaking on LinkedIn. So Joachim is one, and also many startup founders who are trying to, as we discussed, building their voice into this platform. So from my personal point of view, also what you have to do in marketing is try to understand the basics, the jargon, and even if it doesn't apply specifically to the industry, you can try to adapt and again choose what feels better for your industry, in the sense that there will be some let's call it influencers that build their voice into your specific industry, but there might be very interesting tips also elsewhere, and you can inspire yourself and then just be sure that it still applies to what's relevant for you. Right. I don't know if you want to, you know, if you agree with that.
Just agree.
Yes.
Yeah, following people on LinkedIn who are, maybe like into marketing already, it's a good idea. You can learn from them, and it's more like bit-size advice, so you don't have to read long articles if it's not your thing. So yeah, it's also a good practice.
But at the end of the day, I don't think there is so many, like quickly you can have all the like all the words, but the good thing is really the same across the industry. So everybody would say sales, you know, like prospect or stuff like that. So it's quite transferable. So I think it's good because you can learn on, as you said, from other people and being able to apply to your job. So it's not so daunting. I think it's not something that really stopped me at the beginning. You just got quickly used to it. But yeah.
Plus, if I may again add my personal opinion on that, it's really personal, not as a biotech, but anything. But marketers love to share new jargon just to, you know, show that they are different from others marketers, I think. So now I've seen like there are marketers speaking about the difference between demand generation and lead generation, which to me sounds exactly very similar. So sometimes, yeah, you know, I think you don't have to deal too much with the jargon again. It's
and you will have also some companies, you know, they will all use their own jargon for some reason or use abbreviations. So you always have to ask when you don't know. I think that's the best way to work with this.
Yeah.
Cool. I've seen that we have another question, and it's about as a future student in biotech engineering at the same school of Joachim. He said, or she said, because she didn't, I don't know who asked the question. He said it would be also interested in business if there are advice to build a strong profile in both fields. I think this was the reason of the webinar. So maybe, you know, if we want to wrap up or add to this.
Yeah, actually, it's what I did. Like, as I said earlier, you know, I have completed 2 masters at the same time, actually, so it was a bit intense, but I don't know if it works in other countries, but in France, you have kind of partnerships sometimes between schools, and you can do, you can kind of complete your masters in 2 places at the same time. And my last, I think 15 months of my studies were at University Dauphine, doing management or learning management. And everything before was more like science oriented. So I was able to build this kind of double competencies like this. You can also do it later. I actually, in Berlin, I was giving classes in a university to people coming from PhD or science who wanted to complete it with a business background. So you can also find those kind of, you know, it's not really MBA, but it's kind of MBA style education after your PhD. You might have to, usually it's private or you have to pay a bit of fee. But if you lack the confidence, I think it's good. That's really the only reason I would recommend those is if you feel you don't have the skills yet and you don't know how to get them, this is good. Like having a second education would just make you credible, maybe to yourself first, and that's what matters. And that can help on your resume as well.
Okay.
I think for me, I didn't really have the training of, well, I got some training later on when I was already in the role, but I would say that even I had again, thanks to being in my organization, I had the chance to have a mentor who's like a CEO of a big company in the US. And I was asking like, oh, should I do an MBA? Should I, you know, how do I progress? And she was actually saying, yes, you can if you want, but the reality is you're already in the business, you already know really well your business, and basically talk to your finance department, talk to your, the different side of the business that you don't know and you will need to know to do like more business stuff. And and it's true, like you learn a lot by being in the business, and I think it's trying to, and that's really what I do in what I did in my role, not be confined in my position, and being interested and do more, and getting to other departments and trying to go outside of the role, and that's how I ended up doing this marketing role. But yeah, so it's good to give you the confidence, I think, really, as you said, Joachim, but also, yeah, my way of getting there was to go with the science path and then expand from there. But
it's the best way, I think.
Yeah, starting understanding the business and then progressing inside the business activities.
Great. Okay. So unless we have one last minute, questions from the audience, so we tried to reply as best as we could, and I really appreciate, the time that our panelists gave us. They shared with us tons of experience. I hope this will help anyone in the audience progress towards whatever the career you want to progress into. If marketing is one, that's great. If not, of course, some advice apply also to, I think many other jobs. So I like to, since we have no other questions as far as I can see, I think we can wrap it up today's webinar. And I really want to thank the speakers. Thank Victor for joining also on behalf of the Réseau Biotechno, the audience, and also please, at the end of the webinar, you will be directed toward a short survey. If you want to reply to the survey, it will definitely help us to improve. And we have the next month another coming webinars. The next topics will be about the sustainability and how it will impact the life science industry in the future. We have other two great speakers, so if you want to join, you can do it starting from today, and you will see it in the upcoming communication from the Réseau Biotechno. So thank you very much again, and
Thank you.
see you soon, everyone. Thanks you, Joachim. Thanks you, Ariane.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.